Well, I'm back for another prediction video, and instead of me just ranting and raving like a psychopath who can't even put his thoughts together properly. But speaking of a psychopath who can't put his thoughts together properly, I do want to talk about last week and how I did on predictions. I went 4-7. Unfortunately, my first negative card since I started putting these videos out. But I have a couple gripes. Ivan Urslan versus Navajo Sterling. Come on, man. I think maybe that third round was a 10-8, but Navajo Sterling really didn't do that much in the first two rounds. I think Urslan very clearly won the first two rounds of that fight. And Ion Kutalaba versus Bukowskis. What was that? How are you going to have 32 or 30-27 scorecards going both ways? That literally doesn't even make any sense. I don't care who won. It's got to be more clear than that, man. But yeah, so that brings me to 46-30, unfortunately. But, still even on the year with some wiggle room. So, And also, with that being said, hopefully maybe fix my notifications so I'll see when people comment and I'll be able to reply more often. Yay. But I was sitting here and I was like, man, I might want to delay this and not put this video out or whatever while I'm like hectic and scatterbrained or whatever like I always am. Maybe I want to do a little bit more research and actually like do intelligent picks for this card. But then I remembered it's just a shitty Apex card, and if the UFC isn't going to put effort into it, then why should I put effort into it? So, starting off the prelims with Tecia Torres Pennington versus Luana Pinheiro. I'm going to pick Tecia Torres. I'm literally looking at her name when I say Tecia Torres instead of Tecia Pennington. It's just so foreign. But I'm gonna go with Tecia Pennington. I think she has a weirdly active grappling game. I think both of them lose against good higher level competition. But Tecia Pennington beat Carla Esparza in her last fight, and she was technically just coming off a championship reign, even though that was like the weirdest, least deserved championship reign in history. It was like they were trying to alley-oop Rose, redeeming her one loss, and then they just stood there and neither of them did anything, and then somehow they gave Carla Esparza the belt for it. Confusing as hell, but whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Tecia Pennington over Luana Pinheiro. Moving on, Hyunsung Park versus Carlos Hernandez. Hyunsung Park is an undefeated Korean prospect, and that's all I need to hear. I will always be biased towards my Asian boys, no matter how much Chinese, Japanese, and Korean fighters suck alike, because I enjoy anime. I watch Naruto. I like One Piece. So I'm picking Hyunsung Park to win. And hopefully this guy actually ends up meaning something in the future. You know what I mean? Hopefully Hyunsung ends up being, we look back and we go, hey man, remember that Gilbert Burns, Michael Rallis card? Everything sucked, but at least, that Hyunsung Park performance against Carlos Hernandez. I'm coping. But moving on, Elise Reed versus Denise Gomes. Denise Gomes is hang on, let me just check this real quick. Minus 725 betting favorite at the time of recording this. That is pretty much all I have to hear about that. I don't have to hear too much other than minus 725. And Denise Gomes is probably going to get the win, I would assume. But then again, this is undercard women's mixed martial arts, so the odds makers know actually nothing. But moving on to Luana Santos versus, let me click back, Tainara Lisboa. I'm going to pick Luana Santos in this fight because she's younger. And here's the level of research I'm doing for this fight. Go on ESPN, look at the card. There's a tail of the tape section. It says their height, weight, age, reach, stance, significant strikes landed per minute, significant strike accuracy, takedown average, takedown accuracy, and submission average. I am looking at nothing else beyond that for these two fighters, and I am going to go with Luana Santos purely off of that. And I feel like that's what the odds makers do most of the time also. by the way. Moving on to Yadier Des Vailier versus Connor Mathews. For this one, I'm gonna pick Yadier because this is another minus 500 underdog or favorite, and I don't care enough to look at any of these and figure out if that's gonna be right or wrong. I'm just gonna go with Yadier because he's a quite large favorite. I'm glad that most of this card is actually pretty one-sided, so I don't have to look into it. Moving on to Jared Gordon versus Thiago Moises. For this fight, I'm probably going to pick Jared Gordon. Want to know why? Because he's the favorite. Well, no, actually, I mean, he's got grappling. He did beat Paddy Pimblett, and that win has aged quite well as of now. But with that being said, Jared Gordon has not went on to have success post him beating Paddy Pimblett. You know what I mean? Like, he beat Paddy Pimblett. He had a non-fight with Bobby Green. He won against Mark Madsen, and then he lost to Nasrat, right? So, and then he hasn't fought in 2025 yet. It's almost been a year since he's fought. So, it's not like he's got this insane resume of just like killers or something like that. Really, he like scraped by Paddy Pimblett, and then the judges didn't agree that he scraped by Paddy Pimblett, and then, you know what I mean, people kind of put hype on him for 30 seconds that he wasn't able to capitalize on. I do like the nickname Flash, though. Flash is kind of cool. Moving on to Gabe Green versus Matheus Camilo, or Camilo or something. With this one, interesting. This guy is actually completely unknown. Oh yeah, this is the guy that Jovi was saying is actually pretty good, but nobody knows who he is. That's the crazy thing. I have no, like, what is this? Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'm just gonna be a contrarian, and I'm gonna pick Gabe Green. This is gonna be like my single underdog pick. He lost to Brian Battle. He lost to Ian Gary, which, you know what I mean. Losing to Ian Gary doesn't mean as much. Losing to Brian Battle, that's also, I mean, both those guys are pretty good. Ian Gary and Brian Battle. I like Brian Battle a lot because I watched him fight in Wyandotte, so you're going to watch me pick and be biased for Brian Battle in the future. Ian Gary's a cuck, but obviously he is pretty good. He also lost to D-Rod, lost to Jalen Turner in Bellator. That's really funny. That's really, 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 really funny. Gabe Green lost to Jalen Turner in Bellator on the fucking Chael Sonnen versus Tito Ortiz card. That's actually hilarious. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Gabe Green though, because all of his losses, none of them are like too super bad, but also it seems like this unknown cat might actually end up being a known person at some juncture. Moving on to Julian Erosa versus, how the freak do you say this guy's name, Costa? This is going to be another underdog pick just because I can. I'm picking Julian Erosa because I watched him on his season of The Ultimate Fighter. It was him, Artem Lobov, Ryan Hall, a star-studded cast. Julian Erosa got flatlined by Artem Lobov, but he's actually kind of decent. Julian Erosa is like he's got some slick striking. He's got some sneaky submission game. He's actually pretty decent. I like Julian Erosa. Was he ever able to get to like top ranked spot? No, but he's better than like the average jobber, absolutely. Moving on to Dustin Stoltzfus versus Nursulton ruziboev. Last card I picked, like, I wanted to pick Stoltzfus, and then I got all hung up on the odds and picked against him. I'm almost doing the opposite here, but no, I'm gonna pick Ruziboev. He's a Mongolian descendant. I don't know. He's just like he's the closer you are to a caveman, the better in some instances, right? And fit like hand-to-hand wars are definitely those instances. So if the person doesn't have like the elite skill to shut down that just like type of fighting style, then you can win. You can get pretty far in a fighting career. And I think that's what's going to happen here with ruziboev against stoltzfus. I think ruziboev is going to be able to just like mindlessly pressure stoltzfus to a win. So yeah, I'm picking ruziboev. Moving on to Sadiq Yusuf versus Mairon Santos. This is also, I'm not gonna. I gotta stop remembering all of my things. I gotta stop being so biased. I just knocked my mic. But I picked against Mairon Santos. I picked against him again in the Frank Marshall fight. Frank Marshall beat that motherfucker. Frank Marshall got robbed. My boy, the firefighter Marshall. I'm picking Sadiq Yusuf. Jeez, I'm so out of it right now. I'm like, yeah. I keep like going for one idea and then saying another thing. I'm so just like choppy and being stupid. I need to collect myself. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Sadiq Yusuf versus Mairon Santos. Sadiq Yusuf has fought tougher competition. Like he took Arnold Allen to a decision, which I don't know. For some reason, people hate on Arnold Allen sometimes, but he's goated. Arnold Allen is really, really, really good at striking. I know he kind of has glass hands, like he breaks his hands literally every fight, but he also beats the piss out of people. He lost to Edson Barboza in 2023. That's really tough. Sadiq Yusuf losing to Edson Barboza in 2023. You don't want to get caught doing that. And then he lost to Diego Lopez. So he's lost some funny ones, but also other than that he hasn't really lost. So I think he's going to be able to handle Mairon Santos, considering Marshall was able to handle Mairon Santos, and I think this is when my boy is going to get fraud checked. You are going to become my enemy, Mairon Santos. You are about to become the actual demon of this fucking channel if I'm wrong again. Moving on to Rodolfo Bellato versus Paul Craig. This is another case of minus 600 betting favorite. I liked Paul Craig for a long period. I watched the Michael Bisping podcast. I got caught up in the hype. But, buddy, you're moving back up to 205. You're 37 years old. You're not him, buddy. Put the fries in the bag. You know what I'm saying? You better, you ought to just pack up. You know what I mean? Your career's over. Especially any title aspirations. You're definitely not going to have any major success. If you want to just pick up the Anthony Smith torch, I guess you can go ahead and do that. But I don't know how many people are fighting for that spot. So yeah, I'm going to go with this Bellato guy. Literally no educated reason. I mean, obviously it's an educated reason. I could bust out 17 reasons why he'd probably win. But whatever. Moving on to the main event, Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. Guess what? Minus 850 betting favorite, Michael Morales. He's 25 years old. Burns is 38. Burns, he is on quite the skid right now. Hasn't won since he fought Jorge Masvidal in 2023. Also beat Neil Magny in 2023. Oh. He lost to Bilal Muhammad, lost to JDM, lost to Sean Brady. Unfortunately, Gilbert Burns' time's probably up. That's how it goes. 38 years old, you don't want to be caught being 38 years old, especially like lower weight classes. I know welterweight is actually the start of the higher weight classes for some reason. And not middleweight. But, yeah. Because, guys, remember, I know it's 155 to 170, but it's also 170 to 185. Those are both 15-pound differences. But anyway, and then it's a 20-pound increase between 185 and 205, and then a 40-pound increase, or 60-pound increase. What am I talking about? Between light heavyweight and heavyweight. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think Michael Morales is going to win. I think Michael Morales, he's only 25. He's going to be in the UFC for a long while, it seems like. And this is going to be the start of his, like, people noticing him, especially at more of a casual level. Because I'm quite sure that some people, what do you mean? You don't remember when he fought Jake Matthews on the Allen versus Craig card? No, I actually don't. I did not watch I did watch the Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig card, unfortunately. But I don't remember it that well. I don't remember him fighting Trevor Giles on the Ngannou versus Gane card in 2022. No, I do not. But I will remember this one. If he just actually smashes Gilbert Burns, everyone's gonna remember that. So Michael Morales gonna get the W, gonna get some sort of immaculate UFC scripted knockout probably, because that's his bread and butter. But yeah, this was kind of a dumb, bad, stupid, dumb card/video. I keep rambling and like stuttering over my stuff because I'm getting frantic. I'm like, before I was all like gun shy and I never wanted to speak, but now I'm in this weird situation where I have all these ideas, but I'm too like to get my ideas out fluidly in one take on the microphone. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to get better at all that. But let's see how I do on this card. Try to bounce back from the abysmal week I had last week. I need the numbers on Gary versus Protest. I don't know. I don't remember how. Or I gotta rewatch that and then get an actual total on my on my year. But whatever. Yeah. Comment. Compare our picks or whatever. Chubby. We're gonna start speaking, brother. But yeah.